I'm very excited to talk about this next team, the Los Angeles Chargers. Now,
they have bread.
I put up on my Twitter that I wouldn't re-sign Mike Williams.
Hell no.
And I stand on it. And listen, I know Chargers fans tune in. I know we've lost touch, but you guys are always in my hearts for sure.
After you said Joe Burrow's better than Herbie, they really said, no thanks, Joel Moran.
I don't think so. I still stand by it. And I love Herbie.
Yeah, that is a poopy take.
It's really not.
It's not a great take.
It's really, okay, whatever.
It's not one of your best.
We need a toilet flush button.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
I love Chargers. I love Chargers family. It's Boat Gang. I love Boat Gang.
It's Boat Gang.
I'm a part of Boat Gang.
I don't know.
I've already been.
They kicked you out.
They didn't kick me out.
Bro, they messaged me privately, actually.
Yeah, I don't think Boat Gang president speaks for one person. You know, it's whatever. I know I'm a part of Boat Gang.
They kicked you.
I know that Chargers fans love me. They fuck with me. It is what it is.
Call how it is.
Yeah, well,
keep it a stack.
You know what? You're back in.
That's it.
That was hard.
So now let me get into my offseason for them.
Yo, that was hard. I'm not even gonna front.
They went 9-8 last season. This past season,
yeah.
They lost Week 18 heartbreaking fashion. Some people want to pin the blame on Herbert. It's ridiculous. He converted like 6 4 downs.
They don't watch
Either here or
football.
there.
Like 4th and 10s too.
You look at the free agents: Linval Joseph, Chris Harris, Mike Williams, Jared Cook, Ode Abushi, Nwosu, Hopkins, Jackson, Kaiser White, Schofield, and Donald Parham. They have $57 million in cap space, but if they cut Brian Bulaga, which they should, he's only played 11 games in the last 2 seasons, they save $11 million. They can have $68 million in cap space. Now, I'm re-signing Linval Joseph. In order for Brandon Staley's scheme to work, they need a great defensive line. I'm re-signing Nwosu. He was up and down. He had some moments, but ultimately I think you re-sign him. Dustin Hopkins gave the Chargers at least somewhat of a reliable kicker. And Parham, I'm re-signing just because red zone threat, 6'8", it makes sense.
Big boy.
And Kaiser White, who played really well at the linebacker position. Mike Williams, because the Chargers have so much money, it seems like just an easy thing to say, just give him the money. But I can't do that. The Chargers need to upgrade the right side of their offensive line, right tackle and right guard. Abushi, I think, is out. Brian Bulaga, I think, gets cut. I'm looking at Trent Brown. Get him in right away. Pay him whatever he wants. I'm looking at the guards, Andrew Norwell, Brandon Scherf, Glowinski, Austin Corbett, Alex Kappa. Just pay them. Get an upgrade. I'm looking at a receiver, the Cowboys, that was once on the Cowboys, and Michael Gallup. And I look at him versus Mike Williams, and I don't see much of a difference. I think they're similar style receivers. I think they both high point the ball. Mike Williams, I think, is better. There's no doubt about it. But I think Michael Gallup coming off that ACL injury, I'm not too sure how many teams are going to give him a big-time offer. The Chargers can give him a offer that is team-friendly, that saves a lot of cap, so they can just splurge on offensive linemen and getting a tight end as well. Michael Gallup is said to be back by August, so he will play by week 1. And in the draft, I'm drafting Chris Olave. And that's what I think the Chargers should do, not sign Mike Williams. I get it, though. Mike Williams is young, first year being an X. He started off great.
On fire.
He was insane.
He started off great, but he slowed down as the season progressed.
Picked it back up.
I thought Williams coming into this past season was going to have a big-time year. He was on that type of pace, but he just didn't keep it up. Keenan Allen right now, I think age is catching up with him. He can't stretch out the defense. That's where
He's never been that type, though.
Yeah, that's where I think Chris Olave comes in. I think he gives him that vertical threat. Michael Gallup gives him that red zone target. And at tight end, I'm looking at Zach Ertz, Eric Ebron, even an O.J. Howard, who they can sign on the low. And the reason why I don't want the Chargers to give Williams a big-time contract is because they still have holes on his defense. Chris Harris is gone. Asante Samuel showed flashes, but he was average at best. And then you have Michael Davis, who was average at best as well. They need cornerback depth. I think Darius Williams reunites with Brandon Staley. They pick him up at corner. And then they need another defensive tackle to pair up with Linval Joseph. I think B.J. Hill from Cincinnati makes perfect sense. So my dream scenario for the Chargers, this is my mock offseason. Justin Herbert, Eckler, Keenan Allen, Michael Gallup, Chris Olave, O.J. Howard, Slater, Filer, Lindsley, Alex Kappa, Trent Brown, and on defense, Joey Bosa, Linval Joseph, B.J. Hill, Nwosu, Kaiser White. You give Kenneth Murray one more year just because you drafted him so high. Asante Samuel, Darius Williams, Michael Davis, Derwin James, and Adderley. And then you use the other draft picks to draft the other positions you need. They have 11 picks in the draft. They have 8 on day 3. So I think they have more than enough draft capital to fill up needs. I don't think just because they have the money, they should go out and splurge on it. I'll say it again. Mike Williams is too inconsistent for the Chargers to pay him big time money. I know Herbert needs help. And the solution for that, for me at least, is sign Michael Gallup on a team-friendly deal. I think he can give you similar production to Mike Williams and draft Chris Olave. Use that first-round pick on a receiver. I think Chris Olave would be perfect next to Justin Herbert. And now you filled out your receiving core. If Gallup comes back as a 3/4 of the receiver he was in Dallas, you're getting a guy who can give you 800 to 1,000 yards a season. That's awesome. Next to Olave, who I think is going to be a really good NFL receiver, and Keenan Allen still has some years left. I think it's more than enough.
It's interesting. You think Gallup and Mike Williams are similar? I think of Mike Williams. I know Gallup could go up and get it, but I feel like Mike Williams is more of that big body traditional X receiver. Not that Gallup can't, but I feel like he's more of a better downfield threat than Gallup is.
He is. Mike Williams is better than Gallup.
I think Gallup could do some more. I think he's a better route runner than Mike.
Yeah. Mike Williams and Gallup, I think, are similar receivers, but Mike Williams is a bit better. I think they're both guys, like in Dallas, they're both guys who are jump ball receivers that were used like that.
I think Gallup's more than a jump ball receiver. While Mike is, that's where he's.
That's what Gallup was used in Dallas, though. He was, that guy, the red zone target, jump ball receiver. I think Mike Williams is that. He's definitely better, but for the price point that he's asking for, I mean, there is no way I'm giving Mike Williams $18 million a year.
That's the exact number.
There's no way. He's too inconsistent to invest that much money in.
Injury history.
Why give Mike Williams $18 million when I could get Michael Gallup for $5 million and then just draft the first round receiver and Chris Olave or Treylon Burks, whatever it is? Yeah. I think Michael Gallup is gonna fly under the radar. I really do.
You don't think? I think he could get like 10, bro. I don't know. 5 seems very cheap for him.
Robbie Anderson got $10 million off of a 900-yard season with one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
That's what I'm saying.
But Michael Gallup's coming off an ACL.
I
know. Yeah. I don't know. I think it's more than $5 million.
And I think with the tight end, I think I'm short selling them. O.J. Howard just like a potential pick.
Yeah.
But I think Zach Ertz would be perfect with the Chargers.
That makes sense.
I think he would be perfect with the Chargers.
The 3 needs I have for them: corner, interior defensive line, and wide receiver as well. So starting off with corner, they picked Asante Samuel in the second round, and as you mentioned, he had an up and down year, but I think for a second round pick, he showed enough promise for me to be comfortable with him being one of my starting corners next year. Michael Davis has some good size, but he was the 96th ranked corner by PFF. He's not someone that I'm thrilled to be starting with. Mm-hmm. And then they have the money to go out and make a splash signing. They have a new owner, obviously, that they got in the last couple of years, right? Am I making that up?
I'll look. Go ahead. Keep talking.
Why do I feel like I might be making that up? I don't know.
There were talks about Jeff Bezos buying them.
Yeah, maybe I'm just thinking about the Rams. No? Okay. Regardless.
Dean Spanos. But Jeff Bezos did want to buy the Chargers.
You mentioned Chris Harris, someone who, came in, played pretty well for them, but he's also past his prime. I wouldn't be shocked. He's slated to hit free agency. So I do think
I do think that Chris Harris being a slot corner hurt Asante Samuel. I think Asante Samuel's best in the slot, and he was forced to be an outside boundary corner. I think he's best in the slot. That's why you go out and get Darius Williams. Be that boundary corner.
Young.
would I be surprised if they go out and get J.C. Jackson? I wouldn't.
I was going to say that's
that was
another
one of the
name.
names I
that
had if they
would
wanted
be
to
a big
splurge.
time signing for them. Like
Yeah.
if they splurge on corner.
Williams concerns me a little bit only for the fact that he had the protection of Jalen Ramsey.
I understand what you're saying, but Brandon Staley, when he went to the Rams, Darius Williams was one of the top-rated corners in the NFL. And I think losing Brandon Staley this past season hurt his play. I think he goes back with Staley and he picks up his play again.
Another one. Do we believe that there could be a possible reunion with Casey Hayward?
Possible.
I don't think it happens.
Possible.
I don't think it happens.
All right.
Yeah. But moving on, interior defensive line, we know they struggle against the run the entire year. They have an elite pass rusher in Joey Bosa, but the interior, they allow the third most rushing yards per game. Jerry Tillery, been a bust so far in his career. He's never ranked higher than the 97th ranked tackle by PFF. I mean, there's only grade like 110 of them, so he was rated as one of the worst. Someone else, Justin Jones, a former third-round pick, showed some promise over the last 2 years. Potentially he can move into a starter role. But I think you mentioned it, bringing back Linval Joseph, and then possibly bringing in some guys who could be a lot better against the run. A few names I have here: DJ Jones from San Francisco, Akeem Hicks from Chicago, BJ Hill from Cincinnati. I think all three of those guys really beef up the interior of the line. Probably, or most definitely, at least help them next year go from they won't be the third worst or sixth worst against the run, right? This is a team that you got to be able to stop the run, or else we saw this year was one of the reasons why they weren't able to make it into the playoffs. And then moving on lastly to wide receiver. Mike Williams is someone who's going to command a lot of money just because it's a bit of a slow market in free agency. You have Chris Godwin, who came off an injury, Allen Robinson, who's coming off his worst year of his career. Then you have just some older guys like the Jamison Crowders and the T.Y. Hiltons and the A.J. Green. So there's no big ticket wide receiver in free agency. So it's going to be Mike Williams. He's going to be the one who gets all of the money, or at least the biggest contract, unless someone really goes out and pays Chris Godwin top dollar.
Can I ask you this? They're the second most. They have the second most amount of cap space in the NFL. Justin Herbert is among the best quarterbacks in the NFL. If you're Devontae Adams, you're not thinking about coming to LA and playing with Herbie?
You're considering it, but I know there was a report that came out that's saying they would let him test free agency. I think Green Bay would be ridiculous. I think at the least you have to franchise tag him just so you have his rights and you could trade him.
That makes sense.
So it would make sense for Green Bay because you're getting him out of the conference.
I think it is going to be a sign and trade. I think that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, I think they would be crazy just to let him walk. But then a couple other guys, Josh Palmer, former third-round pick, he had showed some flashes. I don't feel comfortable with him being my wide receiver 2 right now. Guyton's a free agent.
I don't feel comfortable with him being my wide receiver 3.
Easy. I like
he showed some flashes, but again, yeah, I'm not ecstatic about it.
And I like his body. Like his body. Take it easy, kid. Jesus H. Christ.
I like Palmer, but he's not ready yet.
Even if I don't think
he's
they bring
a depth
back
receiver.
I still think if you bring back Mike, wide receiver in round 1's not out of the question. You have Herbert, who's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Just put as many weapons around him as you can. I know Austin Gale from PFF said he's going to put Jameson Williams to 17 to the Chargers for all of the mock drafts going forward. If you
that
compare
would be
him,
scary, man.
yes, with Herbert's arm, like I understand wide receiver might not be the biggest need for them, but I've been saying it the entire episode. You need multiple elite weapons.